Good morning and welcome to the morning edition. I'm Keisha Adderley here with Basil Dean. And Basil, I'm not sure who this character is, but we're going to find out in a second. But it's good to have you join us this morning. Of course, it's trick or treat day. Basil, is it trick or treat?
Trick or treat, money or eat. I think that's the way they say it.
Yeah, I think so. Now, Fisher, what's going on with you today? Are you Fisher?
I'm the Bahamian scarecrow in the pumpkin patch.
Okay. And this is look number one, because I know you're going to transform into something else later.
Yeah.
Okay. But I guess you'll surprise us.
Scarecrows don't make noise, so they just.
Oh, they just exist.
Away.
Okay, all right. I'll leave you alone, Mr. Scarecrow, for now. We're going to take it out to our Lloyd Allen. Of course, trick or treat, Halloween is a day of fun. It's also a day that you have to watch out for a lot of things. But we're going to check the weather right now with Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean.
This weather report is sponsored by Bank of the Bahamas, the Bank of Solutions.
Well, thank you, Keisha. We're going to get you started this morning. Now, no tower cam, but we're going to take you to our satellite picture, and we do have that high pressure in control of our weather, and that will take us right through the weekend. Some patchy clouds are floating from east to west, and that could trigger 1 or 2 passing showers. But outside of our studios, it is partly cloudy, temperature at 79 degrees, relative humidity 83%. We have easterly winds at 5 miles per hour. The barometric pressure 1,016.7 millibars. That's 30.01 inches, and it is steady. Your temperatures around the islands this morning: 77s in Marsh Harbor, Green Key, and Freeport. As we take you into the Berry Islands, 80 degrees. 80 also in Alistown, Bimini. In Harbor Island, 79. Rock Sound, Eleuthera, another 79. 80 degrees in Otterstown, that's Cat Island. Staniel Key, Kemp Space, Old Andros, and Fresh Creek in Central Andros also reporting 80 degrees. More 80s in San Salvador and Rum Key as we take you further south into Ragged Island, Clarence Town, Long Island, Crooked Island, 80s. 81 in Betsy Bay, Maguana, 81 in Acklands, Matthew Town, Inagua, 80 degrees, and the Turks and Caicos Islands at 81 degrees. Your boating forecast for today. In the northwestern islands, the winds will blow from the southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Wave heights around 2 to 4 feet. High tide 9:53 this morning, low tide 4:23 in the afternoon. Now for the central and southeastern islands, the winds are going to be a little stiffer. 12 to 18 knots out of the east to southeast, wave heights 3 to 6 feet with a moderate chop. And that's going to do it for your first look at weather in the morning edition. Stay tuned. Your forecast for today, tonight is still ahead.
All right, we're going to see how things are looking out on the streets. We, of course, want you to have a good time today, but also to stay safe. Let's check in with our Lloyd Allen for our traffic report.
The traffic report is sponsored by Bahamas First. First in insurance. Today, tomorrow.
Yes, good morning, Keisha. Good morning, Bahamas. It's a great start to your Thursday morning. This morning we are reporting your traffic from the intersection of Marathon and Robinson Road. It's a great spooky start to your Halloween 2019, and of course we are advising many drivers to not spook those drivers next to you as you make your commutes to your various destinations. One of those areas of concern this morning that we, however, would like to advise drivers of in the area of Nassau Street North. That's between Boyd Road and West Bay Street. Roadworks continue in that area, so of course you want to approach with caution and care. Other than that, many traffic lights are functional this morning, and that should allow you to smoothly make your way to your various destinations. Also giving us an initial look at overnight traffic is Corporal Takori Barr from the Royal Bahamas Police Force Traffic Division. Good morning, Corporal Barr.
Good morning, Mr. Allen. Good morning to you, Bahamas.
So give us an initial look at traffic. What was it like overnight?
Well, over the last 24 hours, we had 11 accidents reported to the Traffic Police Department. However, we had a bit more reported throughout the capital. We want to advise persons to do the things that we've always been advising you to do, which is pay special attention to nothing else but the vehicle that you're operating and the streets around you while you're operating that vehicle.
All right, so some important information there. Also, obviously with today being Halloween, but not necessarily, it's also near the end of the month. I know this is one of those times that drivers tend to renew their registration and so forth. Any advice for drivers on possible fines that they could incur with not being registered, broken tail lights and the such?
Well, like you said, we have persons who at every end of the month would have to license their vehicles, and for persons who fail to do so, Failing to license or register your vehicle is a $250 fine. Driving while not covered with third-party insurance risk is also a $250 fine. Driving without having an inspected vehicle is $100, and we know licensing and inspection go together, so that's like a double whammy. That's $350 you're looking at right from the start. Easily.
And so other than that, any specific advice? I've noticed that since the hurricane, several drivers are on the road with maybe one working headlight. I'm not sure if officers are being lenient with them, but is there a possible fine for a broken tail light or headlight?
Yes, driving with one headlamp or tail lamp burning is a $80 fine, and we try to be a bit understanding for persons who are affected by the hurricane, but the law is the law, and we're going to have to do our part to enforce that law.
And one of those last things I want to talk to you about this morning, I know, of course, with Halloween, many trick-or-treaters may be on the streets later on this afternoon. But one of those major issues that's been on the fence for a while are tents. And so we talked earlier about it. While there may be some leniency on the part of law enforcement, there is, in fact, still a fine for tents.
Yes, the offense is windows not of transparent glass, which is a $75 fine. We're going to ask first. There's no set percentage of how dark your tint should be. Transparent is transparent. And we're going to advise persons that if your vehicle have tints or extremely dark tints, then you would be ticketed and fined for these offenses.
All right, so some important and good information as you prepare to get your Halloween morning started. But of course, we are in the area here of Marathon Mall, and it's a great start to a Thursday morning. Traffic continues to flow. No major concerns are reported by police, and so you should be able to make your way nice and smoothly and safely, but not spooking anyone on this Thursday morning. Keishla, back to you in studio.
Thanks a lot, Lloyd. In the headlines this morning, some financial benefits for residents of Abaco and Grand Bahama as the government puts in place a new VAT-free policy until June 2020. The announcement came during a town meeting in Green Turtle Key, Abaco yesterday. Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, said the new VAT relief policy means individuals and businesses will be exempt from payments on all unprepared food, water, fruit, vegetable juice, clothing, shoes, accessories, beds, and bedding. Hardware supplies are also exempt from VAT, as are landscaping and pest control supplies, electrical fixtures and materials, generators, farming, fishing, and manufacturing equipment. VAT on fuel for generators in areas still without electricity will also be VAT-free. Now, the start date has yet to be announced. The government intends to establish the Bahamas National Recovery and Reconstruction Trust Fund, an independent, non-political body to help fund home and building repairs. Well, some business owners impacted by Hurricane Dorian have received grants to help restart their operations. The assistance coming from the Small Business Development Center. The 5 business owners from Grand Bahama and 3 from Abaco are expected to receive their funding by the end of this week. Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Peter Turnquest, says the initiative is part of the government's effort to stimulate business owners and revitalize those economies following the storm.
The government of the Bahamas pledged $10 million to assist with various entrepreneurs in their rebuilding efforts to get back on their feet and back in operation, not only to provide opportunities for themselves, but also to re-employ people and to get people back to work and back to normal as quickly as possible. This $10 million is part of the funds that we allocated from the dormant accounts funds, which was passed through legislation earlier this year. So we've taken $20 million from that fund, and $10 million we have allocated back to the Bahamian people through this offer.
Now, there are about 1,200 clients registered between Grand Bahama and Abaco. Lead analyst Nicholas Higgs says while the grants are at a minimum of $5,000, the SBDC is continuously working to ensure businesses get exactly what they need.
So currently our program has a max for our standalone grants. This is grants not attached to anything. It's just to help you. It's at $5,000. Now we have a Our equity facilities goes up to $100,000. Our loan facilities goes up to $500,000. So you see certain ventures who are much larger, need large assistance. As soon as we leave this room today, we're getting back at it to get it in front of the financial institutions to get them the full amount they need to accomplish their goals.
Well, straight ahead in the morning edition, a special treat following some long days and nights, and we're on board. The morning edition continues right after this. Welcome back. More drama expected to unfold today as the teachers union assesses the pay cuts of some 75 teachers. In wake of the action, the union is seeking to take legal action. Education officials have confirmed that those teachers from C.H. Reeves and Carlton Francis schools who refused to carry out their duties over the past several weeks suffered the consequences as a result of those actions. But the teachers union says members are tired of working in unsanitary, unsafe conditions. The union also claims that armed officers locked teachers out at the Carlton Francis campus, but education officials say that in order to maintain law and order, the police had to be called in. The union feels the pay cuts are heartless, but education officials say teachers were wrong to abandon their duties. Administration at the Sybil Strawn Primary School say the days of professional development taking place behind four walls are a bygone era. The senior administration, along with the entire teachers population, utilized an entire day earmarked for teacher training to take place literally here in the nation's capital and transform the primary educators into tourists for a day.
You know, it's very important for persons to get out. You know, sometimes a lot of our professional development is inside. Persons get bored, even as the students do. So we decided this time around to bring our teachers out. Fresh air, actually seeing, touching, smelling, actual experiences for them. And not only to visit, but they have projects to do that they will carry back to their students.
Principal Ricardo Roll says it was all about engaging as many significant locations so the teachers speak from the point of experience, giving teachers a wider selection of teaching points and essentially enhancing the learning environment.
We are taking our teachers on an island tour so that we can see historic places of the Bahamas. We're going to be Pompey Museum, we're going to go to the restaurant, we're going to go Grey Cliff, Government House. Our goal is to make sure our teachers know the information, and then when it's time to impart to our kids, we would have already had the experience.
Well, the saying goes, God bless the hands that prepare this food. And this morning we bring you a story of some volunteers who are getting the royal treatment as a thank you for all of their hard work. Here's Antoine Smith.
Welcome to my home away from home, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for coming.
These volunteers received a hero's welcome because, well, they are.
I feel like a queen. I feel like a queen.
Over 80 volunteers from the Feeding Network who helped Royal Caribbean cook over 20,000 meals after Hurricane Dorian got a chance to kick up their feet. And relax on board the massive Mariner of the Seas. Ship Captain R.S. Mendina says it's all a part of expressing gratitude to such a hard-working group.
We could not do it on our own, obviously with the Bahamas Feeding Network being in the local area and providing us with the system of all these volunteers that, again, is something to admire, the amount of people that just gave their time to help and assist in delivering thousands and thousands of hot meals and providing this partnership to distribute all this in the Grand Bahamas. So it's something the Royal Caribbean will always be very thankful for.
For a day, the group was treated to a private lunch and tour on board where they got to enjoy the many amenities. But any other time, you'd find these volunteers working and giving it their all.
But they cleaned over 40 cases of chicken, starting at about 4 a.m. and that goes until about 3 p.m. And then a number of them come back at 10 p.m. to begin the cooking. And the pots are just...
As for why those volunteers put in so much work, well, it's really quite simple.
You know lives are going to be changed. Someone's going to sleep a little longer, a little easier. They're going to breathe a little
you know, the slower, their stress even less. It's well worth it because we know they had at least one hot meal to start the day.
This partnership between Royal Caribbean and the Feeding Network actually extends back 1 year, with the company providing all the food cooked by the volunteers for an entire year. It would seem, however, that trend won't stop now.
Just recently, they sent us a 40-foot container of meats, so we do not have to buy meats for the rest of the year, probably.
And while that partnership and their work will continue, for now, the fund commences, as Royal Caribbean says thank you to some everyday heroes. Antoinette Smith for ZNS Network News.
Well, now to Grand Bahama, where a local artist continues to make a name for himself. Our Jamila Missick has his story.
Bernard Hepburn, also known as Brother Hep, is a singer, songwriter, and musician, and has been creating music for the past few years. He says he not only enjoys writing, but arranging his own songs. The gospel artist recently released a new CD called Believer Song for Healing, with songs like Song of the Lamb and He's Worthy Now. Brother Hep says the CD is a recreation of a few of the songs, this time with a Jonkanu flair.
This is the reason why I had to do it all, because what God allowed me to realize is that, yeah, the song was done, but I used a pop style to the voice going off. And then I used a blues style. After that, it was like something was missing. Come to find out that after exploring it some more, Jonkanu was missing. So when you hear the Song of the Lamb now, I even call it the Lamb song. Or when you hear the song of Moses, Renew It, you're gonna hear Jonkanu music, and you're gonna hear this bass beat what I'm talking about.
Now, Brother Hep says some of the songs are also new, and he believes the songs are songs of healing.
Laying down on my bed a few weeks later, a little headache, a little toothache comes around, and I'm singing in bad feelings in my stomach, and I'm singing these songs, and in short order, times I finish singing the song, the aches and the pain, they leave.
Now, the CDs can be found at Great Faith Ministries on Queens Highway, or call Brother Hep at 533-8215. Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
Well, coming up, the tricks and treats to unfold, also the do's and don'ts, and what Charles Fisher is going to come up with next. All of that and more when the morning edition continues. Welcome back to the morning edition, and we've changed character. Fisher is a vampire. I think I'm some sort of a vixen. We look dangerous, right?
Thanks to Partyland.
Yes, thanks to Partyland. So tell me how you feel in this new getup.
I know how you girls feel now enough to be on that runway walking, changing from costume to costume. I have to change from one costume to the next. So I know now I know I'm ready for Broadway.
Yes, you're ready for the runway. Absolutely. Well, you had some fun this week. You you got your costume, you check out some candies, you did the full thing.
Had a good time. Trick or treat. I'm still a kid, you know. Despite me being 15, I'm still a kid.
Yeah, still a kid at heart. So let's take a look at what you found when you went trick-or-treating. Let's call it that.
The kids will be out tonight trying to fill those bags and buckets with all those treats. But before they do, the historic Mortimer's Candy Kitchen is the place and go and get those sweets.
This is a slow time for us, I guess, between back to school and hurricane. But the Halloween candy sales are down this year. Times have changed and not much people really trick-or-treat nowadays. I guess for safety reasons, for lack of neighborhoods, how they were back in the day.
And before you parents allow those young trickers to fill up on those sweets, always follow the #1 rule.
Always check the candy before you let your children eat them, because you can find candy packages already open. Some might have been opened and resealed, so it would be wise to check before you allow them to partake in them.
And there are all kinds of tasty treats to offer, from the old-fashioned to the new.
We have a variety of candies. Matter of fact, we're making an orange and black right now to put out on the shelves, but we have some chewies, gummies, and all of our famous candies we continue to make every day.
Parents, not to worry. Everyone has a sweet tooth. Dentist bills? Nah, it's just a folk tale.
No, candy is not really bad for you. I think we missed a generation with that because for the mere fact that they used to say that, but just like any other sugar, all you have to do is remember to brush your teeth, wash out your mouth after eating it. Just do a quick rinse with some water just so the sugar doesn't stick to the teeth.
Happy, safe trick or treat. For ZNS Network News, I'm Charles Fisher.
I love that logic. Candy's not bad for you. That's just a myth, right?
So, if our two daughters hear that.
Don't let them hear that. It'll be all over. Well, for some kids, Halloween came early because they went to Adastra Gardens, where they were met with a spooky surprise. Our Antoinette Smith was along.
I'm a skeleton collector.
No, this isn't a haunted house, but it is a haunted zoo.
Basically, we have the first half of the zoo decorated, totally decked out with fog, lots of spider webs, lots of scare stations.
This year at Adastra Gardens Boo in the zoo, kids dressed up as their favorite characters.
I am Thor.
And were treated to a Halloween experience jam-packed with fun.
They get toured around the zoo at the beginning, and then at each stage they get some candy along the way, and they have lots of fun being scared. And they love it. First of all, just dressing up with the costumes. So right now in the background we're having a costume competition going on. But basically at the beginning we had lots of crafts, lots of games, all Halloween-based style.
Dr. Woody Bones, senior zookeeper Hendrew Haley, says it's all about the zoo's mission to remain community-minded.
It helps us just to kind of make our impact in the community, besides just being a zoo and a conservation center, we also believe that kids should have fun, and just allowing us to be an outlet for that and celebrating the different festivities as well.
And when asked if they had a spooktacular time, well, kids gave it a 10 out of 10.
I'm having lots of fun.
I think Adastra Gardens should do this every year because it's fun and it's entertaining.
Antoinette Smith, ZNS Network News.
All right, a lot of those little ones will be out in the streets today, Fisher. We got to watch out for them.
Yeah, be safe.
All right, we're going to take you live to our Lloyd Allen. He'll be out and about just to give you an idea of some of the threats that may arise this Halloween season so that you can make sure have fun in a safe environment. We'll be back right after this break. Welcome back. Well, trick or treat, you want to be safe when you hit the streets this Halloween evening. Our Lloyd Allen is live with police as they offer some safety tips. Hi, Lloyd.
Well, good morning, Keishla, and good morning again, Bahamas. This morning, as you are aware, is the start of the Halloween 2019 celebration season. Unlike many around the country, I'm sure you're going to be one of those persons enjoying your Halloween and your trick-or-treating today. But in that celebration, you also want to be secure and protected as you make your rounds around the island. This morning, we're joined by two officers from the Crime Prevention Unit of the Royal Bahamas Police Force. That's Inspector Leonardo Burrows and also Inspector Jermaine Adderley. Good morning, officers. How are you?
Good morning, Lloyd. Good morning, Bahamas.
Good morning, Mr. Lloyd.
All right, that's Mr. Allen, sir. All right, and so just again, tell us generally, what are some of those concerns that you'd want people to be aware of as they're making their rounds during this Halloween season?
Thank you very much. As we all are aware, today is Halloween, and some persons use this opportunity to trick or treat, to put on costumes, go around and have themselves a good time. And while we want, as a Royal Bahamas Police Force, everyone to be safe during this holiday period, we encourage parents, first of all, to ensure that you actually look out for your children. If they're going to wear costumes and have to go to school, give them instructions. Tell them what you want them to do. Tell them where you're going to meet them, especially the smaller ones, the babies. In their costumes, write their names with telephone contacts so that if they wander off and they're found by an adult, they can call someone. In addition to that, we want our children also to be safe. And in being safe while they're going to school, there's often the temptation for them to be mischievous, to not take any type of firecracker or fireworks to their school to create problems and to create havoc, because they will find themselves in problems with the law. We also want, as they move about, whether they're trick-or-treating and they go into various neighborhoods and get candies and other items, that they examine the contents before they consume them. And parents, we want you to assist with that as well. We also want the adults, as they move about, to remain vigilant, because at this time, persons will be wearing costumes, persons will be wearing masks, and we don't want you to take any of those things for granted, because personal safety and self-preservation is most important.
Now, some really impressive points I like that you brought up this morning. One of them I'm going to key in on. Now, I used to be a senior master at a high school, and so you talk about the firecrackers at school. You can imagine a student actually taking out a firecracker, and they've done it before in class. And so, of course, I like the fact that you advise parents to be a part of the process in how these students actually have fun. Put in the names on the costumes, very important information, checking out the donations or the treats that they may get as well. And so very important information. Now, the other side of Halloween is really what's known as the prolific offenders. Officer Adderley, what is that about?
Prolific offenders. During this period in Halloween, we always have those persons, they bring out their dirty heads out to do certain offense or matters. Whether it comes to damage or armed robbery or stealing, or even just basically trying to make attempts to harm or hurt somebody. And so therefore, our Commissioner of Police is very stern and strict and very vigilant, and have our officers vigilant on doing more patrols during this period. So basically, they are forewarned at this point in time to either stay home or basically do as others, just watch, because we'll be watching them.
Excellent information there. As you talk, I can't help but to think about it. My worst Halloween experience, my little sister and I, we were standing in front of the house, just having fun, during Halloween, and this truck came by with a bunch of fellas on it, and they asked us a question. So I looked back to ask my mom a question. By the time I turned back, someone had hit me in the face with an egg. So obviously, this is the sort of action that you don't want to encourage people to actually take part in.
Correct. You are totally correct. Because back then, when we used to do Halloween, it used to be eggs. Now it's rocks and sometimes firearms as well too, to utilize, to put fear in our country. However, like I said, they are forewarned. Our Commissioner of Police has a zero tolerance policy and a stop team. Therefore, we are being very vigilant of being on patrols and just put every area and every aspect there is.
Officer Burroughs, I'm going to ask you as well. One of those key concepts, I think, even as we focus on the kids as well, many students take the bus to school. And so on the buses, it's Halloween. Some persons may be masked. What sort of specific advice do you have for those students as they're on the buses making their commutes?
I would also encourage those students to be vigilant in terms of their surroundings. I would also ask bus drivers, taxi cab drivers to be vigilant as well. Tell your patrons, say to them, if they have on masks, please take those things off so that you can see their faces, because you don't want to take anything for granted during this time.
All right, and so as we're preparing to wrap up here, briefly, officers, if you can tell me very shortly, what is your scariest moment ever during the Halloween?
Well, like was mentioned, the scariest moment was actually playing with fireworks, or having persons play with fireworks around me and someone being injured. And I just want to send this out, that if you're going to use fireworks, parents, please supervise your children. Please do it in open areas, not by houses, because we can have structural fires as a result of the misuse of fireworks.
My most scariest period when I was young, growing up, and he stated that when you're in a group in Halloween, you must stick as a pack. While we were out doing trick-or-treats, we was walking through dark parts, dark areas, which we should not have done. Well, one of our friends actually went missing. And we were irate. He was one of the youngest of the group. And so therefore, they have to be very vigilant, and basically the kids have to have adults with them at all times, because your loved one could be missing.
So, of course, some interesting stories there, but powerful information. I think it stands up for a lot of people as we celebrate Halloween. Halloween is a time, as it's stated, a time to trick or a time to treat. And so as we're reporting from Police Crime Prevention Office, if there's one final word you'd like to say, what would that be?
Yes. The police is here. We're here to render service, and we are available to help. If anyone has any problems or you need to contact the police, please do so, 911 or 919, or please call us if you have a crime tip, or if you know of a crime, call us 328-TIPS, 328-TIPS. Or you can call CDU, our Criminal Detective Unit, at 502-9991. We want everyone to have a great Halloween and a safe Halloween.
Any final words, Officer Adderley?
And always remember, police are your friends.
All right, you heard it here. So, Keishla, back to you in the spooky studio.
Thanks a lot, Lloyd. We are back now. We're going to talk about sports. But, Fisher, this isn't an hour for vampires. What are you doing up?
You know that ZNS has a Halloween show today.
Yeah, so you have to change your schedule.
I'm preparing for that. And then our cameraman, Randy, he's looking for a costume. I don't know what we're going to get him, but he likes to whine and cry around. So I'm going to go by the food store, get him some Pampers today. He's going to get a bottle and put it in his mouth. He's going to be a big baby today, so I'm letting everybody know what his costume is today. But coming up in sports, we're going to talk about basketball and all those stuff, Keishla. I don't know how you ladies do it. This makeup on? Boy, hot.
It's a little hot, yeah. You look good, though. Stay tuned. Sports is up next.
Good morning once again, and welcome to your Spooky Thursday Sports. New Providence Basketball Association early season openers. Let's bounce over to the AF Alley Gym. The Breezes High Flyers, coming off a loss Saturday, took out their frustration on the Island Invention developers, led 30-14 after 1 and 61-29 after the half, and cruise on to a 93-51 win. Good win there. In the feature game, it was the Triple K Stampers and the Sports Center Elites in a much closer matchup. A big second quarter by the Stampers, where they went on an 11-zip run, sealed the deal as they were able to hold off the Elites 88-81 and start the season off on the right foot.
It feels really good to get up first one out the window. A lot of the players start off a little bit shaky. I have like 5 or 6 new players. I lost a lot of my senior players last year. So it feels good getting that first one. Every time we play this team, the game is go back and forward. It's a lot of momentum. It's a lot of runs. We just stepped up the defense. At first, we start off a little bit shaky. And once we turn up our defense, we know that's all we need to do.
Yeah, I mean, the first game jitters. I know we worked a long time, but we didn't get a lot of people to practice because they work in the hotels and stuff. And then we have to be trying to shuffle practice. We had one practice with 11 people for the season. One. All right, so we're working through some jitters.
Buddy Hield and the Sacramento Kings dropping another one, led by 6 at the half, but had a terrible second half. Outscored 32-18 in the third quarter, allowing the Charlotte Hornets to hand them their 5th straight loss to start the season. 118-111, Buddy, 23 points, but the loss stings.
It'll be like that sometimes, man. You expect to come in to have a good start and it doesn't roll your way. It's not the coach's fault. I think the players all totally all blame for it. We showing good first where we're super good, and then we show us first where we just trick the game away. So the coaches put us in good positions where we can be successful in the court. We just gotta put it together, man. Just gotta go out there and just execute and do that. It's fun, man. I know the fans are frustrated right now. They're booing us and everything. I know when we get this thing rolling, they're passionate. So, we just gotta find and get a win. And once we get that win, I think that we can get stuff rolling. But winning is hard in this league, and there's no excuses for sure.
Well, it's been in the works for a few years now, and as Jay Philippe tells us this morning, the big yard, that's Andros, will soon feature an indoor basketball facility.
Sports on South Andros is definitely on the move right now. The South Andros Multi-Purpose Gymnasium is under construction, and athletes and coaches as well as community residents are excited about this gymnasium. Chairman of the South Andros Gymnasium, Carolyn Stewart, says work is ongoing.
They are finishing the roof. Once they've finished the roof at the front, then I think they'll have to wait for another stage to be processed by Ministry of Works, and they're waiting for the plans for that because I understand that is still in the works. They're still waiting for that to go to costing, and then we'll see. Hopefully we'll have the same contractor to do the finished work, because he's been with us from the gym got started, from they started the preliminary works, and that work was actually started in 2016.
She also says the government came on board recently where they intend to assist with the completion of the gym.
We're hoping for the best. We're hoping hopefully by June that this whole building will be completed before the hurricane season, because this is actually going to be the hurricane shelter for South Andrews. And you can see from the size of it, we can fit the whole of South Andrews in here without any problem.
Chief Councillor Zebedee Roll is excited about the thought of the multi-purpose gym on the island for Andros, and says that this means a great deal for the Androsian community.
The community of St. Andros will be very proud. Right now, there is a basketball tournament going on at the high school, and the inclement weather had put a dent in that. So basically, having this facility completed, those games will then be indoors, and we wouldn't have a problem with the inclement weather in the future.
So there you have it, the Big Yard making major moves for indoor sports. Reporting from South Andros, I'm Jay Philippe, ZNS Total Sports.
Thanks a lot, Jay. Organizers of the Makers Bahamas College Football Bowl in the country promote the game that's scheduled for December. Dr. John Steinbrecher says it was important to let those in the United States know the game was still on despite the passage of Hurricane Dorian.
Considering the challenges that the Bahamian people have experienced with the impact of the hurricane, I think it's important for us to go back to the United States media and to the United States, our colleagues, and make sure everybody understands that the Bahamas is open for business. And as we were discussing with the minister, the best way to support the Bahamas is by coming and spending money in the Bahamas to help the relief efforts.
Conference USA Commissioner Judy McLeod also here for the press conference, and she came with some good news.
You know, we are all very heartbroken with the devastation from Hurricane Dorian, and so today, on behalf of our 14 member institutions, I have the privilege of presenting a check to the Bahamas Red Cross for $25,000.
Not part of the Makers Bahamas Bowl, the Capital Orange Bowl Committee, which is right there in Florida and calls the Bahamas its second home, also came with gifts from committee chairman Jeff Rubin.
When we were a couple of months ago watching from our televisions about what was happening to the northern part of the Bahamas, we watched with great fear and angst because we didn't quite know what would happen, and that storm stood on top of the northern Bahamas and basically destroyed it. So we at Orange Bowl felt much like our partners at the Makers wanted Bahamas Bowl, Conference USA, and the MAC, that we could find some way to contribute and some way to give back. There are a number of Bahamians that live in the Miami area. There are a number of people in the South Florida area that come and visit here and will continue to come to visit the great islands of the Bahamas. And so we felt that even though we are not participating in the game, that we are among family members, we are among conference members, we are among partners, so that likewise we also wanted to be a part of this great charity and this great contribution. So we too will be donating a check for $25,000.
Thanks a lot. That all sounds good. And that's going to do it for your spooky sports. I'm Charles Fisher. Have a safe Halloween and eat all the treats you can.
In our final look at weather, we get you started with the tropics, and we have subtropical storm Rebecca. It's 535 miles west of the Azores. Is moving towards the east-northeast at a very rapid pace, about 21 miles per hour. Maximum sustained winds 45 miles per hour. But the good news is we expect it to start weakening sometime this afternoon or tonight as it continues to head towards the east and towards the Azores Island. No problem for us at all. We have dry air with upper-level wind shear and taking taking place to the west of that system, and that means it's going to be difficult for storms to develop in this neck of the woods, so we seem to be in good shape as we head into the final month of the tropical cyclone season. And our satellite picture, high pressure remain in control of our weather today and tomorrow, and that means those brisk winds will continue in the central and southeastern islands. Not too bad in the northwest, around 10 to 15 knots. So if you're into boating, the northwest Bahamas would be the place to be today. Stall-out front system remain over the southern United States. That we were hoping would push through, but it seems as though it's not going to get here. So we'll have to contend with the very warm temperatures for several more days to come. Our forecast for today calls for periods of clouds and sunshine, more sunshine than clouds, high temperature getting up to 87 degrees, and tonight, pretty nice for Halloween, partly cloudy on the warm side, so be careful with those costumes out there. 77 degrees will be your low temperature, and your extended weather forecast beyond Halloween. We're looking at lots of sunshine Saturday into the early part of next week. Those daytime temperatures once again remaining in the mid to upper 80s, nighttime temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. So Dawn and Charlie, happy Halloween to you.
All right, sounds like good weather for trick-or-treating. Who's this?
This is my new friend. When I ran into the store, he was so attracted to me. They say we look so much alike. You could tell the resemblance.
I can see it. I can see it.
He's a little cuter. He's a little cuter.
Well, the folks at Partyland certainly fixed us up, Fisher. We transformed into some different people today, and if you're still looking for that costume they got, I'm sure they have something that you can that'll fit right in with your personality, right?
This is me.
That's you, all over.
Scary.
That does it for us in the morning edition. On behalf of all of us, thanks so much for looking in. Stay safe this trick or treat night. Thanks for looking in. Good night, everyone.